This is why we can no longer afford to expand funding for your exoplanet research project, B2. Now, enough of that. What's next on our list? Ah, yes, A1. What's your report? Well, thus far, all of our basic objectives have been met, and I've hired on a new intern to help me in various video editing, shooting, and all that sort of stuff. Oh, that's good. Now, wait, I'm not done. In order to see this through, though, I do need some more funding. You know, to pay for more equipment, to renovate the studio, and, pay my employees? No. That would be unacceptable. Until your pet project has proven itself more fully, we cannot release more funds to you. If I may be so bold, if it weren't for your position in the company, you wouldn't have received any funds in the first place. Now, for our newest member, Mistress Muscadet, would you please give us your report? Oh, fund request denied, boring lecture on reaching new heights. Anyways, on to more important business. Any jobs come in while I was up top? Mesopotamia? Oh, okay, I can make that work. Well, why don't you stay here and work on the editing the previous project, and I will go and do some preliminary work on this. Sound good?
The ways of the gods are incomprehensible. Far more predictable is the path walked by a man who considers himself a god. So too it was for Sargon, the greatest conqueror Mesopotamia has ever known. Like the legendary shepherd that founded our great city, Sargon seemed to have descended from heaven a grown man, crafted by the gods to rule the world. But while his true origins remain a mystery, his earthly story began here, in Kish, a place so beautiful that even the lustrous words of the poets cannot do it justice. Back when I, Ushar, was still a man of youthful strength, Kish was ruled by Baba. If the gods had molded Sargon from clouds and ether, Baba was made from common clay. Nothing about him was exceptional, save for his fondness for fine food, extravagant clothes, and luxurious wine. Baba had appointed Sargon as his cupbearer, and the shy, unassuming adolescent served him wine and kept him company in many a lonely hour. Yet, unbeknownst to the king, Sargon was plagued by a strange, recurring dream. Ishtar, the goddess of war, appeared to Sargon in his sleep and promised him extraordinary things. One day, she said, he would be king not only of Kish, but of all the land between the Euphrates and the Tigris. Not realizing the weight of his words, Sargon told his master of the dream, and the king turned pale. Had the boy who served him every day truly been chosen by the goddess of war? Baba could not allow this prophecy to come true. He banished Sargon to the desert, and in doing so, he convinced Sargon that the goddess had spoken truly. Yet banishment was not enough for the frightened king. He soon sent Kish's most vigorous warriors to ambush his former confidant among the dunes. I was one of those men. As a smith, I was the strongest, and when Baba ordered me to swap my hammer for a sword, I accepted, but not without hesitation. By now, the tale of the banished servant and his dreams had spread far beyond the royal palace. Many who suffered under Baba's rule saw Sargon as a savior. When I finally caught up with him at a remote well, he was resting in the shade. I left my sword in its scabbard and faced a man who showed no fear. In his mind, he was no longer a simple servant. He was indeed Ishtar's chosen one.
Hey guys, Ognajteff here, and today we're jumping into the AoE 2, or 1 into? Not important. What is important, though, is fighting off the assassins who are after my cash cow. I mean, Sargon. As the intro by Ishtar has stated, Sargon is wanted dead by King Ur-Zababa of Kish, and this is our opportunity to get in his good graces.
There is the traitor called Sargon. What are you waiting for, Shah? Help us hunt down the renegade.
So, with the assassins dealt with, let's focus on the mission at hand. The objectives are actually quite simple. There are 2 starter bases, and in this case, we are going to the one on the right. The other one on the left becomes a friendly village where we can trade with later in the game. After we claim a base there are 3 gold mines we can claim to boost our eco. Though honestly, we're not really gonna need it. Then, there are 2 cities aligned with Ur-Zababa that we can convert, I use with large quotation marks, by tearing down their temples and replacing them with our own. Then finally, there stands Kish itself. Protecting Ur-Zababa, all we need to do is kill him and claim the city, and the mission is ours. Once we arrive at the village, we begin setting up eco and developing our army. While we do this, we should get to know Sargon a little better. Just as much a myth as he was a man, the real Sargon story is put together using fragmentary archaeological sources and mythic sources. It was said he was the son of a gardener and a holy prostitute, and as a young man, was made the cupbearer to King Ur-Zababa of Kish. This would imply a higher birth due to the prestige and responsibility of the position. Legend goes that Sargon would receive a dream and would be exiled by Ur-Zababa in fear. As such, this mission's introduction actually reflects the legend of Sargon very well. But as for the archaeological evidence, it deals more so after he takes the throne. For the archaeological sources, we can piece together that after taking over Kish and the surrounding areas, he would wage war with the Sumerians to the south, and eventually rule for 54 years, conquering all of Mesopotamia, Elam, and sending expeditions into the Levant, Anatolia, and Arabia. However, just as security is found, we get this message.
So, you are holed up in a seedy village, Sargon. My scouts are everywhere. You can escape neither my eyes nor your fate.
Now, that line there is in reference to the fact that the AI is about to start sending raids towards us. So all 3 of the main enemies, those being Sippur, Beersheba, and Kish, are going to start sending the odd wave every little bit now. So, in order to counter that, I'm going to build up my farm so I can start building up my military, and then alongside my military, I'm going to build a few defenses, namely some towers, just so I can pick off a few of the enemies piecemeal. On top of that, my main priority right now is to go from the Tool Age, which is what we start in, to the Bronze Age, which is the maximum age we can reach in this mission. So that way I can upgrade my troops and be ready to actually attack the enemy forces. So, as I alluded to earlier, let's talk army composition. So, my primary units for this mission are going to be what represents the actual armies that Sargon probably would have fielded, or at the very least, ancient Sumerians would have fielded. Idea being, we're going to have phalanx infantry as our main infantry, so no swordsmen other than Ishtar and Sargon themselves. So phalanx, we have evidence of in carvings, pottery, pictures, and all those sort of things. So we know that the Sumerians would have used the phalanx. And on top of that, we've also got depictions of chariots! Yay! And in this case, we have access to 2 different types of chariots, the spear chariot and the archer chariot. And these are going to be the other 2 primary means of fighting. And when I did the little illusion earlier of my army not needing a lot of gold, chariots are the trash units, effectively. Only the phalanx in my army are going to need to use gold. So speaking of gold, here we are assaulting the first of the gold stockpiles. So each of them are defended by a series of archers and then some basic light infantry. And you can have also various villagers collecting from them. So the sooner we get this done, the sooner we can start collecting from them and deprive the enemy of their resources. So first priority is to just clear out all the various enemies, then clear out the guard tower, after which point we'll be safe and sound to start claiming the place ourselves. Anyway, back to the topic of chariots and phalanx. Although the chariots themselves are actually quite weak, the phalanx are actually going to be quite strong. So the idea is the phalanx are going to be slow and cumbersome, but are going to be hard-hitting, and I'm going to support them using the chariots in order to overwhelm in swift attacks in support. And naturally, as soon as my forces go to deal with the mines, of course we get attacked by Sippur here, sending archers in to raid my farms. They have made an enemy for life. Okay, so now we have to rush our army in to get this catapult killed and get the archers out of their farm so we can get back to producing. Because I want to tech back straight up to the Bronze Age as soon as possible. So Ushur and Sargon can deal with the archers and I can have the light infantry deal with the catapult. No problem there. So the main concern now is just getting everything back up and ready because we are about to begin our process of teching up. A few moments, one tech up and another raid later. Here we are just cleaning up the remnants of another attack on our wood line. There we go, and just gotta make sure my chariots dodge the catapult blast as they come in, because that'd be terrible to lose. There we go. Chariots don't take many resources, but they are a pain to build on account of how slow they are. Meanwhile, here we are at the academies, just building up our phalanx to as many as we can get. Once again, gold is not the limiting factor. It is food. So, after another period of just quick build-up, we're now ready to go attack Sippur and make them pay for the constant attacks on me. But then, naturally, as soon as I send my army off to go to raid there, look who's coming in. Hey, Bursipa. I'll come for you next. So, now we're going to have to turn all of our units around, grab the chariots and infantry to hopefully defend, and here's hoping that the few units that I left behind are capable of just holding the line until the point which the reinforcements can arrive. And it appears the reinforcements were able to arrive before too much damage could be done. Thankfully, I'm pretty sure just the archers here will be enough to just clear them out. Hit and run tactics. Although, probably don't want to get enveloped like that. The infantry will hit these things pretty hard because the chariots are pretty weak. But let's see, with them dealt with, let's return to our attack. We're going to send in the main body. We got the scout and the villagers ready. Let's send the chariots in and the phalanx as well as separate units. That way the phalanx don't slow down the chariots. And thankfully there's this little hole just north of the temple. East of the temple? Not 100% sure on directions here. Anyway, let's just pile on in. This is a perfect opportunity. We can take the temple out with minimal problems. Here's hoping we don't get attacked from behind. Just got to make sure all of our chariots are ready to... yep, here's Bashur again. Okay, so units are going to come in. The villagers are quickly going to build the temple. And in the background, we're going to have the soldiers destroy any opposition, be it tower, catapult, archer, or whatever have you. But the biggest priority is actually to keep these units alive. Because for every unit I can keep alive, that's one less unit I have to rebuild. Okay, let's see. Units are all ready. They're all set up, and let's just keep them near the temple while it's built. Come on, come on. Meanwhile, back at the village, the counterattack was defeated, so with that, Sippur is now an ally. Well, I send my chariots down to go take the second gold reserve. Let's talk a little bit about the city we just conquered. So Sippur was actually a relatively ancient city, but its importance comes well after this period. In fact, actually, it wouldn't be until the Babylonian period that Sippur would actually become a major city. However, the depiction of Sippur being the seat of the god of the sun is correct, and in later history it would become a center of wool production, as well as just a major commercial center during the era just around and after Sargon. Now we're back into another period of growth. However, I have a sneaky little plan here, and that is to use this little area just north of this island here. You can see that small wall that the tower's taken out. If I can get my units past that wall and onto the green area behind it, I could use that as a bridge to get directly into the city without having to actually destroy any of the walls. Here's hoping that works. Otherwise, it's about time we go pay a little visit to the third and final of the gold mines, while also getting our army all parked up and ready next to Beersheba. Now, here we are, just annihilating the poor gold miners of Ur-Zababa. There we go, no contest whatsoever. That'll teach them to oppose the will of Sargon. So, Beersheba, much like Sippur, would actually become a major city only after the reign of Sargon, specifically during the Babylonian period, as it was the sister city to Babylon itself. And the city here, thus, would actually not become a major center or anything. However, what we can do is use our chariots to draw out the enemy forces, and oh look, there's an army crashing in on their flank now. Have fun! But seriously though, this is just a little quick way to absolutely annihilate the enemy without taking a single loss. But with the army annihilated, now it is time to finally start pouring into the city itself. Now, I have to be very careful here, because I can't let my villagers get sniped by towers, soldiers, or whatever. So I have to send the army first to pick out whatever stragglers there are. Then I have to take out the towers, and then finally, I have to pile in so that the army acts as a distraction for any extra units that spawns, destroy the temple, and then build up my own. Sounds simple, although the traffic jam at the gate here, which honestly I probably could have dealt with a little better, begs to differ. But now, finally, with that tower destroyed, we can move in. All soldiers move into the temple and destroy. Let's see, taking out any stragglers here. I also want to make sure I do not actually destroy the whole city, just the temple, and anything in the way of the villagers specifically. Because otherwise, I would actually be handicapping my own ally. Once again, the whole point of this isn't to annihilate my enemy, just force them to heal. And with the temple destroyed, let's get in. Oh, don't lose a villager. Come on, get back in line. There we go. And all the soldiers are lined up. Now I just gotta make sure they don't do anything stupid. So once again, I'm just gonna play a little bit of marching boy, moving back and forth, back and forth. I can deal with any of the soldiers that spawn, but otherwise, let's make sure that we don't accidentally annihilate our future ally, and boom. Done. Temple built, ally secured, 2 down, Ur-Zababa is next. Okay, so finally, one last quick period of growth, set up a few extra farms with the villagers now back from temple duty. As we move our forces from the west all the way around to that little spot I pointed out to see if my cunning plan is even possible. So, we asked the question, is it possible? And the answer is no! It's not. Unfortunately, there are reeds in the way. Not to mention a second wall fragment. So, after all this time, sped up by 4 times speed, we've unfortunately break the line, don't get past, and now I have to do this the conventional way. The way I probably should have started it anyway. Okay, so redeploying, repositioning, and we're going to do the exact same thing again. We're going to start with the archer chariots. Although, quite honestly, I'm going to get quite frustrated with this. So let's send in the phalanx this time. And this is when Ur-Zababa makes a mistake. You see, he sends his units to go fight the guys who are attacking from the north. Suddenly, he walks over to my units, who've now left the gate open. I can now envelop their units as they walk outside, crash into the gate, destroy it all simultaneously, and oh look, the door is wide open for a grand assault by my phalanx and chariots. So, carving through the few units left to defend and taking out the tower so I don't take any attritional damage. It is just a straight line now down to Urzababa. The hard part is these last few defenders include the catapults, which means I'm going to be taking some unfortunate losses as we churn through their last few units. There we go. And now, all that remains now is to kill the king. He decided to exile Sargon in a fit of fear, and now his prophecy is coming true. He is to become the next king of Kish and all of Mesopotamia. And here we go, we're just sweeping through the forces. Urzababa is now engaged in combat with our units. And with that, Urzababa and Sargon have both fallen in combat, and we are victorious.
The taste of death is upon my lips! All is lost!
As we entered the royal palace in Kish, I swelled with joy and pride. Sargon had triumphed, and it seemed that this man, blessed by Ishtar, was truly invincible. Yet in my quiet moments, I wondered if it would ever have come to this, if Urzababa had not expelled Sargon. Had we fulfilled a prophecy? Or had a simple dream become prophecy, only after the fearful king sealed his own fate? Dreams and oracles, visions and prophecies, it seems that these mysterious forces can be as dangerous to those who believe in them as they are to those who ignore them.
Alright men, form up, and begin clearing away the streets. I want this place clean before sundown. All that I ask is to be made a general and advisor to you, so that I may earn my place, mighty Sargon. Yes, sir. May this be a glorious and profitable relationship for the both of us.